welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is Teddy, and today we're going to be discussing another mechanical gaming keyboard. This time it's the Thermaltake TT eSports Poseidon Z, which is quite an interesting name. Anyways, so this one's more of a value-orientated mechanical gaming keyboard, kind of trying to come in at a lower price point. In New Zealand right now at Playtech, this is $129 New Zealand. It's obviously going to change over time, but that is quite cheap for a mechanical gaming keyboard here. And yeah, let's see if it reflects that. So let's start out then with the design, and it's going to be equally cheap wherever you live as well. And design-wise, it's pretty bland. I'm sure you can agree. It's super basic. It's just not really that fancy at all. As I've said previously, I don't necessarily consider this automatically a bad thing. These little cutouts here are so you can run the cable through it, by the way, if you're wondering. But yeah, design-wise, it's pretty uninspired, pretty basic, but this will go with everything, so that's okay. The actual layout of the keyboard itself is pretty decent. It's just pretty standard for the most part. Some things are a little bit smaller than I would like in some of the areas, but aside from that, it's just a fairly good, fairly well laid out keyboard. And as far as build quality goes for the board itself, it's all plastic around the outside as you would expect with a value orientated mechanical gaming keyboard, but there's no flex or anything. It has a decent weight to it as well. It doesn't feel fragile or anything, so in that respect it is decent when it comes to the build quality of the housing and everything. Now the keys, so this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So on the box it says blue switches on it. So when I was given it to review, I just figured it was Cherry MX blue switches. Now that was my mistake, I suppose. I guess a lot of times when I'm given something to review, I don't like to read reviews before I've got it or do much research on the product. I mean, for some things I do research, you know, graphics cards and other things. I'll know what it has, obviously. But a lot of times I just want to go into it with an open mind so I can write my review after just my own impression, so it's not, you know, no one else is influencing me. I try to keep the other opinions out of it. And so I figured this was just Cherry MX Blue Switch, because that's what it says on the box, Blue Switch. But it's not. If you take the keycap off, you'll see it's a Kailh switch, a blue switch, which is basically a Chinese copy of, it's not a Cherry MX switch, it's a Chinese copy of the blue switch. Now, with all that being said, it's not as good in any way. It feels slightly heavier, which is kind of funny to get used to. And the whole idea of, you know, using these Kailh switches, which are made in China, is because they're cheaper to produce, obviously China versus Germany in terms of where they're made. So it's better in that sense that it will actually be cheaper. However, you get the downside of that, it just doesn't feel as refined. It just doesn't feel as well made like it was, you know. It's very hard to describe for you guys, but it just feels loose, the key switch itself. It just feels like the tolerances aren't there. Very loose, very not as good. And that also transfers into the keycaps themselves, which also feel very loose as they sit on the switch. It almost feels like, you know, you're trying to like push the keycap down so it'll sit better on the switch itself. It's like someone pulled it up a tiny bit and it's just sitting a bit loose. It's very hard to explain to you guys. You notice it heavily on the control key when you're pushing that down, like with your pinky or whatever in games. Oh my god, it just feels not good at all. So yeah, these Kailh switches in them, which are made in China, are just not very good at all compared to Cherry MX Blues. It also says it only features 6 to 8 key rollover, so no in-key rollover here, which is a bit of a letdown as well. So yeah, not very good when it comes to the switches. Now lighting, the blue lighting, this is blue, it might come out a bit purplish on camera, I don't know why it does that, but yeah, the blue lighting is pretty good. It can go relatively bright, although it's pretty uninspired and yeah, it's not that good really. Some of the cool features though are 1000 Hz polling rate. It has no software, obviously there's nothing, whoa, I want to drop it. There's no software for it, it's too basic for that. So there's media keys up on the top here and also volume keys, so that's quite cool. And this button up here is for turning off, it's like a Windows lock key, which is cool to have as well, so you don't hit that while you're gaming. And this does feature a 5-year warranty on the key switch, so if you're wondering about the reliability of a Chinese switch, you have that to fall back on, which is better than some of the other manufacturers out there. So that's good. In terms of reliability, I mean, you're covered there. But that doesn't mean the key switch is good to use. So overall then, what do I say about this? Well, the design-wise, it's super basic, but it seems okay. It's pretty decent in terms of its, you know, its rigidity and that. It's alright. The key switches and the key caps are terrible. The key caps as well, the characters on them are really small, and the switches just feel too heavy for blues, really bad in terms of tolerances. Like, they just feel very unrefined, and overall it felt bad to use. If you are lucky in a tech store, you know, has one of these laid out, try using this back to back, like play, you know, type with this at the store, and then go over, and if they have a Cherry MX Blue keyboard set out, which they most likely do as well, then use that back to back, and then you'll know instantly what I mean, because if you use them back to back, you'll just feel the Cherry MX Blue switch, and it feels so much better. The lighting is okay. The lack of in-key rollover could be an issue for some people, maybe not all people. And that leads me now to, what do I say? Do I recommend this? Honestly, no. And I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but just go for a Ducky Shine Zero. I know I recommend Ducky keyboards a lot. It's because they are really good. And the Shine Zero is cheap as well. It's only, in New Zealand, it's only $20 more expensive. This guy is $129 at Playtech. The Shine Zero is $149 at Playtech. And it's going to be, it's worth that $20 New Zealand for sure. It may be different where you live, but honestly, if it's, like, say, again, like a $20 difference or less, even a $30 difference, just go for that. And if you can't get a Ducky Shine Zero, just try find another Cherry MX Blue mechanical keyboard, because I just can't recommend this one really. I mean, it'll get you by in a pinch if you just straight up can't afford it or it's out of your budget. If you just want a really, really cheap mechanical keyboard, this will get you by. It does have that warranty, but it's not going to be the same experience. And honestly, I would just 100% recommend getting a Cherry MX Blue, well, if you want blue, but a Cherry MX based keyboard over these Kailh key switches, because they're just not as good. But yeah, my recommendation for Kiwis out there is definitely get the Shine Zero over this. You'll, oh, it's worth it, 100% worth it. It is so much better to use. Now, I thank you guys for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, so you catch my videos as soon as they drop. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.